Hi, welcome back. Hopefully you've had time to review the female hormonal cycle so that you understand this lecture. Now, this is obviously the female reproductive tract, so you'll remember that females have two ovaries, a fallopian tube or oviduct, the uterus, and the vaginal area. Now, hopefully you'll remember that from Unit 3 that a human female is born with all the eggs she's ever going to make. And each egg is in a little structure called a follicle. And every month, right, a few of the ova race to become egg of the month. Everyone wants to be egg of the month, but only one wins. And hopefully you remember that the follicle cells produce a hormone called estrogen. And then hopefully you also remembered that the LH surge causes the egg to pop out of the ovary. This is called ovulation. So the LH surge is what causes ovulation. And also hopefully remember that the empty follicle, that empty egg house, fills in and becomes another structure called a corpus luteum, which secretes the other female sex hormone, progesterone. So this is a review of the biology basics. These hormonal changes occur every woman, every cycle, assuming the woman is ovulating. So let me repeat this for emphasis. I can guarantee you that if a woman is ovulating, certain hormonal changes must occur in every woman, every cycle. So to review these changes, first part of her cycle, the follicular phase, there is the exponential growth of estrogen as the follicle is growing, as you have more and more follicle cells. Pointer after. So again, we start off with an egg and a little follicle, and as that egg becomes riper and riper and riper, the follicle gets bigger and bigger and bigger, till finally there is that huge follicle that is indicating to the female's body that we have a ripe egg. Here's one that's ready to pop out, ready to be ovulated. So you have an exponential growth of estrogen. When you have this huge follicle indicating a ripe egg, this huge follicle secretes a peak level of estrogen, and this peak level of estrogen signals the hypothalamus, or more specifically, which stimulates the anterior pituitary to release that LH surge. So the peak level of estrogen, remember, exerts positive feedback on the anterior pituitary, which releases this huge LH surge, and it's this LH surge that directly triggers ovulation. So boom ripe egg, boom peak level of estrogen, boom LH surge, boom ovulation. Notice I'm not using any days. It does not matter if a woman ovulates on day 8 or 10 or 14 or 18 or 24 or 28. Ovulation will be immediately preceded by a peak level of estrogen and an LH surge. Likewise, after ovulation, the empty follicle will fill in and becomes the corpus luteum and release progesterone. And again, the progesterone will not appear in the woman's circulatory system until after ovulation. So again, these changes occur every woman, every cycle. Wouldn't that be amazing if somebody developed a little patch a woman could wear on her skin and it would indicate her blood hormonal levels? I mean, if she knew when she had a peak level of estrogen and then it went down and then the progesterone went up, and especially the LH surge, she would know exactly when she's ovulating. Wouldn't that be powerful information? And I guarantee you, if somebody could market a little patch that could detect these blood hormone levels, they would sell like crazy. But we don't have a little patch like that. But just like the earth has its secrets, like the fossil record, and the earth reveals it to those who know how to reveal, who know how to read the signs, female's body is the same way. If you understand the female's body, you can tell when these hormonal changes are happening. For instance, you might recall that normally the vaginal area is very inhospitable to sperm. All right, so normally 25% of the sperm die when entering the vaginal area. However, as the follicle cells secrete estrogen, estrogen causes the woman's reproductive tract to become more receptive to sperm. So let's think about it. When an egg is ovulated, all right, the egg only lives for a certain period of time, right? Less than 2 days. So actually the best time to get pregnant is to have intercourse, to have sperm enter the body before ovulation. So as that peak estrogen level, as that estrogen level rises, the cervix here starts secreting a very fluid cervical mucus. Now, again, I can just read any biology book and I can tell you honestly if a male or female wrote it. Because females in their normal, what shall I say, bathroom toilet routines, they will notice that sometimes their body is making some of this slippery, fluid cervical mucus. And at the beginning of the woman, as the estrogen levels grow, this mucus is slippery, it's clear, and when there's that peak level of estrogen, the cervix creates an abundance of the slippery, slimy mucus. It has the appearance and the consistency of egg white. That's the best way to explain it. And it starts off, the cervix starts secreting it in small, slippery amounts, but then it becomes more, the amounts become more and more copious. And this copious amount of cervical mucus indicates that the woman is about to ovulate. And at this time, she is fertile myrtle. If she wants to get pregnant, that is a great time to have intercourse. Now, after the egg is ovulated, right, it dies in a couple of days, the empty egg house will secrete progesterone. Progesterone causes the cervix to create another kind of mucus. It's white and sticky and tacky, and its purpose is to plug up this little hole in the cervix just in case the woman becomes pregnant. Then the growing embryo / fetus will have more protection from microbial infections. Additionally, the progesterone released by the corpus luteum is actually an anabolic steroid, and it will cause the woman's temperature upon waking to rise in a measurable, significant amount. So again, if a woman's interested in tracking this, she just has to take her temperature before she gets out of bed in the morning. When she's running around, getting her shower, getting her coffee, worrying about work or classes, all right, it doesn't count. So, biology basics too then. Fertility signs. The rising level of estrogen increases the female's receptivity to sperm. And again, the fluid cervical mucus, it does two things. I don't think I quite mentioned this. It, one, protects the sperm in the vaginal area and it helps guide it up into the female's reproductive tract. All right, so the estrogen, causes the cervix to create a fluid cervical mucus. And again, female listeners, cycling females know what I'm talking about. Men, I usually can read their faces in class. They're like, wow, this is really interesting. I had no idea. But the women know. The women know what I'm talking about. All right, after ovulation, the high levels of progesterone produced by the corpus luteum, remember this is an anabolic steroid, this will increase the basal body temperature of the female. So, how could a woman or a couple put these signs together? All right, so let's remember. So remember this graph? This is from that Name That Hormone exercise, and again, it's not really drawn real precisely. All right, so at the beginning of the woman's cycle, whenever they are comfortable having intercourse, all right, as her menses dies down, all right, there is some natural infertility. So I'm using the little symbol of a green light, a little traffic light. Did you ever play red light, green light when you were kids? Well, here's how you can play red light, green light with the female's hormonal cycle. So let's say a couple is, again, interested in avoiding pregnancy. At the beginning of her hormonal cycle, there is a natural period of infertility, and this would be green light. They can engage in sexual intercourse. Now, again, the blue represents blood estrogen levels. As the blood levels, as the follicle cells start making estrogen, her cervix will start to create a little bit of that cervical mucus. All right, as soon as she experiences any slippery mucus, red light. If she does not want to get pregnant at the first appearance of that cervical mucus, that fertile cervical mucus, the slippery kind, she should abstain. So no sex right now. So red light, red light, red light. So we have the peak level of estrogen. This is not drawn very well. I mean, here it looks like this. LH surge is taking a couple of days. Peak level of estrogen directly triggers the LH surge. We have ovulation. The purple represents progesterone. So once the progesterone level rises, ovulation has occurred. I will repeat that. Once the progesterone levels rise, ovulation has occurred. The egg will die in 36 hours. So this progesterone level goes up, so does the woman's temperature. The temperature is high for 1 day. The temperature is high for 2 days. The egg is dead. But sometimes there's a double ovulation. So the couple waits a 3rd day, abstains for 3 days. Once the temperature has been elevated for 3 days, the couple knows the egg is dead. And there is no way the woman can get pregnant for the remainder of her cycle. So that would be green light. All right, so notice I'm not putting any days here. There's a natural period of relative infertility, followed by fertility. The couple abstains. Once she knows the egg is dead, green light for the rest of the cycle. Whether she ovulates on day 8 or 18 or 28, these hormonal changes have to occur, and these signs are reflected in the woman's body. Okay, do you see how this fertility awareness could be used to also achieve pregnancy? Basically, you just reverse your red and green lights. So now, for instance, a lot of times infertility is caused by a low sperm count in the male. So what the couple would do, well, I certainly totally messed that up, didn't I? All right, sorry about that. You would think I'd learn by now. All right, sometimes the couple's infertility is due to low sperm count in the male. So what the couple would want to do, and again, this is to achieve a child, they want to get pregnant, the couple would abstain at the beginning of the female's hormonal cycle so that the male can build up his sperm count. All right, in fact, then they shouldn't reverse it right away. If this were me trying to get pregnant, I would wait until she gets that copious amounts of fluid, fertile mucus. When she gets the copious amounts of the slippery, slimy, egg white mucus, that would be the time to start having intercourse. So again, we'll reverse this. Instead of green light at the beginning, it's red light at the beginning. Where you would abstain from sex to avoid pregnancy, well then here you would have the green light. All right, once she gets that peak level of fertile mucus, go for it. Now, if the couple is trying to get pregnant, there's no reason to reverse this, of course. They can just have fun for the rest of their cycle, right? All right, so again, and by the way, this is not a how-to course. I'm just giving you the basic concepts of fertility awareness. I tried to find a good book diagram. Again, it's really hard to do. Like, same thing here. This LH surge, it looks like it's happening, takes 2 days, and it looks like it's occurring on day 12. Right, really, the LH surge should be like right up there, right next to ovulation. Boom, boom. Now, this is done pretty well. The peak level of estrogen is right before the LH surge. They didn't do that good of a job of showing the exponential growth of estrogen. Now, what they did do, something I did not mention when we did part 3 of the course, the corpus luteum, in addition to producing progesterone, will secrete a little bit of estrogen too. The point is, though, you have to have the peak level of estrogen and the LH surge to trigger ovulation, and estrogen growing level of estrogen can be detected by the woman. Likewise, the progesterone has effects not only on her cervical mucus, but on her temperature. So, putting these together, we have fertility signs. If a couple wishes to use fertility awareness to either achieve or avoid pregnancy, they can monitor the woman's major fertility signs, which include cervical mucus, which I've described, cervical position, which I have not, and basal temperature. So there's some cross-checking here. Some women are also fortunate. As they become more and more in touch with their own body, they notice minor fertility signs. Some women, as you learned perhaps in that fertility survey, can actually feel ovulation. It's called Mittelschwarz. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, some women can actually feel their ovulation pain and have other cyclic indicators. True story, I had a student say, oh, I don't believe in fertility awareness because a friend of mine plugged her signs into a phone app and she got pregnant. I said, really? And what kind of signs did they monitor? Oh, like when she sneezed more often or craved chocolate or felt bloated. And I said, you know what, some of these minor signs are great to cross-check the major signs, but I wouldn't trust a major life decision on trying to get pregnant or avoid pregnancy to a phone app. That's just my word to the wise. All right, so once again, this information can be used to avoid or achieve pregnancy. So what I want you to do right now in the comment section is to record how effective you feel this method is. All right, and after you've done that, I will meet you back in this back for our final little wrap-up session. See you then. So again, how effective do you feel? Well, we'll just simplify it. How effective do you think this method is at avoiding pregnancy? And maybe for these next two comment issue sections, because we're talking about sex, I'll leave them anonymous for the next two sections. So I'll see you in the next video.